I'm Zara.
And I'm Faith.
And we would like you to
sit down with us
every Wednesday. So, as you can see, the setup looks slightly different today. And you might have also noticed we have a special guest.
Yay! So today's guest for Mother's Day, coming up very soon, is my mum. So today's basic topic is going to be about how it was as a mother growing up with a daughter with a visible difference, really, and how all those trials and tribulations, discussions came into play. And we've got some crazy stories which we have honestly had some fun with. So yeah, Mum, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Angela, obviously your mum. I'm busy mum, 3 girls. I am a nurse as well, part-time. And loving life.
Loving life. I love that.
So, obviously, you were part of Faith's journey as someone who grew up with alopecia. So we just basically wanted to have an insight into basically how that was like, basically through your eyes, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, normal average family growing up. We did a lot of convenience food. We did a very busy, hectic, chaotic, just busy family life, really. If we weren't running around to dance classes, netball practice, gymnastics, judo, you name it, we were everywhere. We kind of lived in the car for a long, didn't we? So from this chaotic life, it was very much right, pizza night. Oh, quick! I've got to do this one, got to do that one. Oh, another school run, another. So chaotic life. And I think that carried on because obviously your sisters are a little bit younger than you. So with you being the eldest, this sounds terrible, but you actually did take priority for a lot of things because growing up, the girls just tagged on behind. So all the clubs and societies and everything.
Yeah, they're very closer together in age. So they're almost like not twins, but they growing up, they really did act like twins. Like they were in each other's pockets constantly. And I was just the older sister that would either tell them no and be like not their second mum, but like their guide through life. And even now, Katie rings me going, "What have I just done?" That's my youngest sister, Katie.
So you kind of had your experience and they followed on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So obviously it's like chaotic family life. So this, the alopecia, complete bolt out of the blue that at the time it was like, oh, that's nothing. It was Phoebe about 10. We were still at primary school. All the girls were at primary school, the same primary school. All just getting on with life, no great dramas really. And it was about 10. I used to brush all the girls' hair. It was like line them up, one after the other, like you do. And I remember brushing her hair this particular morning, and I thought, oh, that's weird. And I thought, I'd never noticed that before. And then you think, oh my God, how have I never noticed that before? How long's that been there? And all it was a proper, neat square out of the base of the neck, out of the hairline. I was like, oh, that's really weird. Bearing in mind that all the girls had long hair, they all went dancing, they all went swimming. So I did the hair a lot. So I thought, how have I missed this? So I thought, I didn't think anything more about it at that time. Then all of a sudden I started paying a bit more of attention over the next few days, and I thought the hairline above the ears as well was quite high, and I thought, again, at the time, the fashion back then, because you're very old. No,
back in the old days.
Back then.
Again, the in fashion was like either some up and some down, or it was like a big high ponytail.
To be fair, this was 16 years ago, and that was the vibe.
Yeah.
The scrunchy, high pony, slick back. Yeah.
So obviously, I was thinking, oh, tight ponytails, things like that. But we did actually go to the doctors because I think, looking back on photos, you think, what on earth? Such a lot happened in such a short space of time. But at that time, you didn't, because life was so chaotic. It just went on and on. It just rolled on. So we took you to the doctors. I think we'd found a little patch partway up by this time. So the little patch at the back, and it was starting to thin. But I think bearing in mind Faith would be like 10. I thought, I'm not. Like panicking child. I can panic, but not child. So went to the doctors. What do you think about this parting hair? And I'm thinking, oh, and it was perfect, almost like a perfect round circle.
Like a penny.
Yes, yeah. It actually almost in the centre of a hair at the back. So there's a little square at the base, had the high hairline, but again, it was just like quite taut. It looked like quite taut, like you had put like a really tight ponytail, and then a little perfect circle. Well, the delightful doctor. I think back now and you think, what on earth just happened?
Yeah.
Just in hindsight, this is my dreadful diagnosis story.
Yeah.
That I think I've only told once or twice, to be fair, because this was how we actually found out I had alopecia, and it was ruthless. It was what kind of set up my opinion of going bald and being bald.
Yeah,
and almost like I don't want to be bald because that's as you will hear, the perception he put into our braids at the time.
It was horrendous. The GP at the time, I don't think tact came into it. Considering he was dealing with like a 10-year-old child, he was talking directly at me, but I'm thinking this is about faith as well. And I've always, it's one of them children. I don't believe in the children should be seen and not heard. You know what I mean? It's happening to you. And you weren't a submissive 10-year-old. You were quite, you had your own opinions and your own thoughts and feelings. And because it was happening to you, you would want to know what's going on. So the GP then came out with I think it's I was like, what was this? Alopecia areata at the time. And it was like, okay, but I'd heard of alopecia, but only because of my background and with the medical background, the nursing background. But again, very little about it. Next thing, a printer's going berserk, printed out all these like printout sheets. I was like, what's this? Clipped them together with a nice little paper clip, very neat, and handed them to Faith. I was like, right, so 10-year-old, a wedge of all this paperwork. And it was almost like, okay, bye then. I was like, oh, what's just happened? Then as Faith's flicking through these pages, I don't know whether you remember the story as vividly as this, Faith's flicking at 10 through all these pages, I'm glancing over and seeing all these horrific pictures and images. It was like, what the hell is he just given her? What is he just given that baby?
No, it was like shock therapy. Because like looking back now, they weren't horrific. It was just different variations of alopecia. But from first learning about it, it's terrifying not knowing what's going to happen. And also with no cure and no real treat. Because you go to the doctors wanted to be treated. There was no treatment. It was just information.
It's also eye-opening because it's like you think this was like 50 or 100 years ago. This was literally like less than 20 years ago?
It was 16 years ago.
So this is crazy. Yeah.
And he also said, because of the high hairline, he said, do you pull your hair? What kind of question's that? Because obviously, reading into it after, there's the hair pulling type of...
trichotillomania.
And it's like...
Which was news to me only a few years ago. I found out about that. So there's just no awareness of it all. It's just slowly there is a lot more now. But back then there really was minimal.
And I'm like, what kind of question is that to ask that? So again, not seeing the significance. So we came out of that quite disillusioned, really. Bearing in mind, Faith she looked petrified coming out. And it's like, how do you drag a child's mood up from this? I think McDonald's worked a treat, but you can only get so many Mackies to boost your mood, can't you? But that was
it was a moment.
That was
But that day actually signified how I felt about going bald from then. So because he made me feel so, I guess, dirty for having my hair fall out.
Unusual.
So I was like, oh, no one can see this. Because that's how he literally made us feel at that point. So from then on until I got my first wig when I was 12, it was, how do I hide this hair loss?
And I think that's what's important is like that first... I don't know how to describe it, but like that first interaction with you and your alopecia could have made a world of a difference. And obviously now you've grown up and like you've come to that realization for yourself, but it could have gone so much earlier, like throughout your teenage years as well, which I think,
just said if you felt like it was something shameful and to cover up because of how it was delivered. And so we spent literally the next couple of years hiding or trying to hide it, which that was painful. That was traumatic. tears on all sides. I mean, I didn't
Never in
break,
front of me, but
no,
yeah.
I never broke down in front of Faith because you just can't. You do anything. All you want from your child, all you want when you have children, all you want is for them to be happy and healthy. That's all you want in life. And it's like at that time, you felt like you were failing as a parent, as a mother, but at the end of the day, you felt so helpless.
Yeah.
To this situation that was happening to your baby. Baby.
But I'm well and thriving.
Oh yeah.
Right. So now we may as well go into a little myth that I think we believed as well for quite a long time, that the hair loss was due to stress.
Yes,
That alopecia
that's
was due
very
to stress.
common. Like I before having met you, that's what I used to think that what would have caused alopecia. Yeah. So this is very common.
So I'd say stress is an underlying factor of it all, but with alopecia actually being an autoimmune conditions, and autoimmune conditions coming in pairs, there's most likely something else going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was my celiac disease. So gluten intolerance, for those unfamiliar to that term, it's a very extravagant term, celiac disease. It sounds so dramatic, which it can be. But in other terms, when I then started to eat gluten-free, my hair did actually mimic that and start growing back. And I think even trying to eat gluten-free was a journey for us both as well. So yeah, but that's the myth for today, that not all alopecia is due to stress. Sometimes it's genetic and hereditary. Other times it's just one of those things, hormonal changes. You see it in pregnant women sometimes, hair thinning, and male pattern baldness is actually androgenic alopecia, which is thinning of hair, male pattern baldness, which women end up having as well. Female pattern baldness. So that's our interesting myth for today. Hope we enjoyed.
So we've also talked about like how it felt seeing alopecia through kind of like a professional. We call him professional. Didn't seem quite professional, did he? So we've kind of spoke about that, but kind of we wanted to know how you felt about other people's perceptions, like more people in your daily life, when it came to Faith and her going through alopecia.
Do you know what? I think I should write a book. Actually, no, I won't.
Oh gosh, that would be great.
That would be fun, actually.
You know, when you think back, it's when you ask these questions, you actually think back and you think, "Oh my gosh, do you remember this situation? Do you remember that situation?" But thinking about that, well, one quick one, the health professional, the woman that we went to, all we wanted was a wig at the time, and she was like, "Oh, you're such an inspiration."
Oh,
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah. We've talked about this many times, and it's like, why are we seen as inspiration when we're just
living every day with the cause that we're dealt with?
Yeah. Well, this woman was like, started crying.
Oh my gosh.
Just bear in mind, I'm 12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we spent all that time covering up the big patches, but then obviously when the top of the hair went, that was the hardest bit to cover up. And do you remember the old neighbour? He said to me, Angela, he said, the oldest girl, he said, what does she do with her hair? I like it better when it's down. Meaning when you were wearing a wig, and my fist was clenched. I was like, Angela,
I didn't know this.
No.
It was a very elderly gentleman, but I thought, I'm going to punch you any second now. But I didn't. I refrained. I said, I said, that's nice to know. I said, keep your opinions to yourself. Thank you. She's like, 11, 12, me.
Oh my God.
But definitely at 12, the aim was for a wig. So like we were going to that. They called it was dermatology appointment, wasn't it?
Oh.
Which is weird because they think alopecia is a dermatology, but it's not really skin, it's autoimmune and it's hair. So the best help we actually got was going to a hair specialist. A hair clinic, wasn't it?
I wonder if that's still the case for people going through alopecia now.
I don't actually know, to be fair.
But we slapped all sorts on your head, didn't we?
Oh my gosh.
Creams, lotions, potions. At the time,
olive oil.
Oh.
Oh gosh. It's a good job we can laugh about it now, but at the time it was so traumatic.
To try anything.
Yes, so other as well as the delightful neighbour, we were all the girls, myself, Faith and two sisters, shopping in Preston. And this particular time we were just in one of the just bimbling around. I think also as well, especially since you've buzzed and gone, natural, you don't realise how many people stare. Then all of a sudden it's like that. What are they looking at? What? what they're looking at.
Me,
And I was like,
babe.
oh yeah, I forgot. There's bald.
I forgot. Yeah.
But as you live it, you live with it. You've adapted so amazingly. But at the time, it's like, what are they staring at?
I think when you're living through it and like you live with someone who is living through it, like yourself, it kind of becomes the norm, and you see it for what it is, and it's obviously there's like complications behind it, and it took a while for you guys to get here and for Faith to get here, but at the end of the day, it's like how she's dealt with it, and like how I'm like, how do I explain myself? But I don't know how to say it, but like it's almost because it's not a big deal.
No.
It becomes so
100%
normalised.
Yeah.
And I actually spoke to Katie and Rachel, my two younger sisters, about this. And they kind of just thought that I was having funky hairstyles growing up. And like me and my sisters would tease each other, and she would call me some names and I would cry, but it wouldn't actually upset me because I knew she was just trying to tease me and get reaction. And that's just sisters growing up anyway.
Yeah.
But even then, they didn't see it as an issue or a problem. They just saw me as big sister Faith that had some interesting hairstyles, you know, and wore a wig to school.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And even they now, when we're out and about, I mean, I forget I'm bald.
Yeah.
Like so many times I'm like, why are people staring?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've not got my hat on. That would be why.
Yeah.
Like, my perception of myself has changed. And also perceptions of other people naturally change.
Perceptions with the younger two, again, just growing up with being in that environment. I remember having to like feeling like how to protect Faith that bit more. And it's like that. Don't say this. Don't say that. Don't be cruel. You know. But I remember Rach, Faith, keep your hair on. And it's a very Lancashire saying, but like, don't lose your rag. But and then I thought,
no,
I'm gonna throttle you. You know what I mean? You little beggar. But at the time, and we were absolutely. You can laugh and proper belly laugh.
Yeah,
now,
we
but
do
at the
laugh
time,
now as well.
Yeah. But at the time, I was like, oh, you little minx. There was no malice in it. They were just children growing up. But
it was just their way of teasing me as I would tease them.
Yeah.
You know. So,
but I think one of the more poignant ones for me that I actually thought, Ange, you really need to calm down. We were with the shopping, back to the shopping. Again, and I don't know whether it's a generation thing thinking about it now. There was an older bloke coming, we walked into a jeweller's shop and this bloke was actually coming out. Now, how we walked in, I think Faith and Rach walked in first, and me and Katie were coming after. And it was almost like we probably didn't look like we were together. So as Rach and Faith walked in, this old boy passed like that. He clocked me and went, as if to say, "Cut that." Oh, I swear, my blood just boiled from my toes straight up. And I was like, I flung my bag at Katie and went, hold that. I went marching out the shop after this bloke. And I was like, I need to say something. Because at first I thought, no, leave it. And I thought, no, I can't. I flung, like I said, my bag at Katie and went marching out. I tapped him on the shoulder, very tactfully. I went, excuse me, very nice. And he was like, you're right, love. I went, and I just laid into him. I said, you do, and I just said, you do know. I said, this isn't technically a lifestyle choice. I said, it wasn't, it was a fashion statement. I said, she's no hair. I said, she's got a condition. And as I suddenly ramped and then came back down as I started to explain, I'll give you a life lesson, young man. You're like in your 70s.
Young man.
But it's like, don't be quick to judge. Which I think a lot of people. So like when people stare, a lot of the times it's not a judge. You're like, oh my God, look at, like what kind of fashion statement? I think it's curiosity.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know we've asked in the past. There was again an elderly gentleman. We were at a Christmas fair, and he said, "Hey, love," it was so cute. "Hey, love, is it cancer?" And you think, "Oh my God!" And then you feel guilty.
Yeah.
You almost feel guilty.
I remember this because I
remember?
was young still as well, and I was wearing my headbands. I hated wearing the wigs. I could never wait to get them off. And so the fair we went to, I did wear my headband, and I think he saw the patch at the top of my head, or it didn't cover well, but I just didn't care at that point. I just didn't want to wear this wig. And he actually specifically said, "Do you have leukemia?" So I was very pale anyway.
Yes.
And so he just put two and two together, created up a story in his head. And I felt like I had to say sorry that I didn't.
Oh, God.
Apologise that he got it wrong.
Yeah.
And then I felt guilty and I was like, this is a really weird. But from talking to other alopecians online or in person, it's a common question we get a lot. And to approach that of like, no, I don't. have alopecia, it's almost like, it's a strange one to get around, really. But I completely understand where the miscommunication, that perception comes in.
But I also think even if you did have cancer, you shouldn't ever outright ask someone.
It was the most bizarre situation.
Yeah, I think, that's just really bizarre.
That's true, actually. That is very true.
So it should never be the question to,
approach someone firsthand.
No.
Yeah, I mean, even now I get it.
Yeah.
Even now when I'm working, I get asked that question and I'm like, politely, no.
No.
Like, no.
Yeah. The older generation is a great. I once had this guy come to me and he was like, I will pray for you tonight. I was like, okay, you do that. I don't need it, but thanks.
Yeah. I'm expecting a Lazarus moment.
But yeah, I've had a lot of like prayers and things come my way.
So obviously with everything we've been through, is there anything now looking back that you wish you'd done differently? Because I think we all have that every day. Like, I wish I could go back and I would have said this and I would have said that and I would have done X, Y, Z. Have you had that moment with anything?
I think in odd circumstances, I think I might have, in certain situations, I think I might have reacted probably differently, or not reacted. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just the mother protecting thing. But I think, I'll be honest, thinking that question, I think because you just, every day is a school day, you just go along with it. You're just learning. It's the constant, constant learning curve.
Yeah. I think the saying everything happens for a reason is very poignant for this.
Yeah.
Poignant for this.
Yeah.
She's getting there. Learning moment. I know how that word says now. But I think all the experiences I have had has led me to who I am today and how confident I am.
Yeah.
But it also gives me that resilience for the next person that's struggling to give that advice on how I dealt with it at that time. So yeah.
That's a great way to look at it.
But I will say thank you for how everything happened, I guess, and all the support I got, because I was grateful to even have the opportunity to have a wig and to have a new wig every 6 months, because that's almost like the timeline, because it's not normal to have multiple wigs, and it's very unrealistic as well, especially to get realistic wigs. They are so expensive, and I was very fortunate to be able to have a choice back then that it was an option for me. So I just say everything that happened, I'm very grateful for. So yeah, mother-daughter bonding moment.
Now it makes sense that this was going out on Mother's Day. Yes. Love that. So we've obviously known about your experience, but if you were to go back, what would you have wanted to know as a parent going through this with Faith?
Well, yeah. So, like, obviously, we were just saying, it was just a constant learning curve. I think knowing about support groups might have been a beneficial, but I think it's like at that time, I think I was that focused trying to make things right or trying to make things better. So I suppose now going down the line, probably try and be a bit more relaxed about things, or if other parents were going through things like this, like the alopecia, it would have been nice to swap stories or swap circumstances, and been support for each other, or just like a sounding board for each other, because sometimes it can take over your life, which you try not to let it, because it's it is just a part of life. But I think thinking about it now, the celiac, because obviously with being autoimmune, they usually come in pairs or multiple.
At the moment, I'm adding on.
Don't be
Give me the list.
Oh, Faith. So I think that was probably harder to deal with than the alopecia was, almost, because that impacted more on the family as well, and as a mother you just want to do the best for your kids, and like just for the basic, just like pizza nights, like, oh God, we can't have pizza night anymore, we can't go to Mackie D's, we can't have like emergency Max, so it's how you rethink your whole family life, and that did impact, the ripple did impact. So probably ways like a support group a bit more geared to that, and I'm not the best cook, so to cook from scratch was eventful. But again, it was the best way, and we all learned together, really.
Massively.
That's the key.
Still now, I'm learning. I've recently learned that air fryers are actually very damaging for celiacs. If you cook something with gluten in your air fryer, don't clean it or just put a tray on there for the celiac food. All the crumbs or it all contaminates it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is cross-contamination in its form in an air fryer. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I then gave my air fryer a rinse at home. Me and my partner now have a separate section.
And on that note, just for anyone watching / listening, we are going to put some resources in the bio, specifically for Alopecia UK, who are obviously a charity surrounding people going through alopecia, and through them you can kind of get in touch with support groups if you yourself are going through it, or you have a family member or someone you know that's going through it. So yeah, if you're interested, just check out the bio.
Yeah, there'll be Alopecia UK, Little Lady Locks, which I do a lot of work with, and I love that charity. Little Princess Trust is another one. I actually got one of my first ever human wigs from them. That was my favourite wig when I was 14, I think. That one, I wore it everywhere. I did love that wig. And also, I would say following people online. Because that was a big one for me as well. And there is more online support groups out there now than there ever was back then. This will all be down below for those.
And I was also going to say, if there's any that we've not mentioned that you know of, please let us know in the comments, and for everyone else, but as well as us.
Yeah, we love a learning moment.
Yeah, we do. As you are our first guest, so yeah, we wanted to know what advice you would give to any parents / carers who are supporting someone who is going through someone with a disability / a difference.
The only advice I would give, try to be relaxed about it, because it's not the end of the world. Nothing is a disaster. And I think, to be honest, let the person lead the way they want to be led, and just support them rather than try and fix the problem. You can do as much as you can, but if you don't manage to fix the problem, just roll with it and try and be a bit more relaxed with it.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah. I think, a lot of people could relate to that. Yeah. I think.
So thank you so much, Mum, Angela, for coming on today. We have come to the end of the episode. So thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. And
we hope to see you again next Wednesday.
Bye. Bye.